Hi everybody, we're going to do section 3.5, the law of sines, example 4. So we're given 3 pieces of information which we'll always need to solve a triangle. You can see that we're given angle A, which is 43.1 degrees, side A, which is length 186.2, and side B, which is 248.6. That's the length. You see that we have a side-side angle. This is a SSA triangle, and every time we have a corresponding angle and side, we know that we can do the law of sines. So let's do it. We have sine of 43.1 degrees over its corresponding side, which is 186.2, is equal to sine of B over its corresponding side, 248.6. Now we chose B because we do know side length B. Let's go ahead and cross multiply. And I always tend to write our unknown on the left-hand side, but it really doesn't matter. So once I cross multiply, I'm still trying to solve for angle B, so I'm going to divide both sides by 186.2. That'll leave us with sine of B, and then everything on that right-hand side we can plug into our calculators. We want to make sure our calculator is in degree mode. Once we do plug that in, we should get 0.9122. Since that's less than 1, based on the notes in the previous page, we know we need to check for 2 possible triangles. So to find our first angle, B sub 1, we're going to take inverse sine of both sides of that equation. So it's going to be inverse sine of 248.6 sine of 43.1 degrees divided by 186.2. Now, once you put that into your calculator, you should get the value 65.82. So that's our first angle. And then to find our second angle, we'll label that B sub 2. We'll do the supplement of that. So 180 degrees minus 65.82. That's our first possible angle, B1. And when we put that in our calculator, we get 114.18 degrees. So we have 2 possible angles for B, which means there's 2 possible triangles. Now, where did those 2 B values come from? So originally, you'll see, I'm highlighting it, that sine of B was 0.9122. So we want the Y value to be 0.9. And if you look at the unit circle, there's actually 2 angles that have the Y value 0.9. So our B sub 1, that's our first angle, is given to us by inverse sine, because it's on that right-hand side of the unit circle. And then the other possible angle is directly across from that. So 180 degrees minus B sub 1. We get that from going all the way 180 degrees minus that length B sub 1. So we just kind of use the same length that we saw on the other side of B sub 1 to subtract. All right, so that's where the unit circle comes into play, helping us find our 2 angles. Now that we have these 2 possible angles, let's make sure they would work for an actual triangle. So remember, our first given angle was 43.1 degrees. So we'll add 43.1 degrees plus our possible B angle, so 65.82. And we want to make sure that this does not add up to more than 180 degrees, because this is just 2 angles of a triangle. So as long as it's less than 180 degrees, it's good to go. Now let's check our second angle. So again, we want to start off with our given A angle, 43.1, then add our second B angle choice, 114.18, And again, we're just making sure that this is less than 180 degrees because it's two angles to a triangle, so it has to be less than 180 degrees. Since both of them were, that tells us that there are two triangles that we're going to solve for. So now that we know there's two, let's go ahead and at least solve the first one. We'll label this one triangle 1. And now we have, the three given pieces, and also we know that B is 65.82. We have two angles out of the three, so finding that third angle is our easiest task. So let's go ahead and tackle that. We'll have 180 degrees minus our two angles will give us our missing angle. We're going to label it C sub 1 since this is the C value for our first triangle. Next, we have one missing piece, side C, and we're going to use the law of sines to get that. So we'll have sine of 43.1 divided by 186.2 is equal to sine of our 71.08 degrees over C sub 1. We're going to cross multiply. And then we're trying to solve for C sub 1. So next we're going to divide by sine of 43.1 to both sides. So we get C sub 1, and then if we type that into our calculator, it should still be in degrees. We'll get 257.8 if we round. So cool, we got our full triangle, all 6 pieces we found. So now let's move on to our second triangle. All right, so we still have the given information that the problem gave us. We're going to label this triangle 2, and I'll write in green to show that we're working on our second triangle. So B sub 2, we already found from our previous work, we found that to be 114.18 degrees. So again, some easy task is finding our third angle C. So we'll do 180 degrees minus our other two angles, and that'll give us our C sub 2. Again, we're labeling it C sub 2 because we're working on our second triangle. All right, now we're in the spot again. We just need to find our missing side. So we're going to use the law of sines. And we will cross multiply again. Now to solve for C sub 2, we're going to divide both sides by sine of 43.1 degrees. So we'll get C sub 2, and then we'll plug all that into our calculator. We're still in degree mode. We get 105.25. So we'll write that on our side C of our triangle. And again, we solved both triangles. So that shows us that those three pieces of information that were given, we can create two separate triangles that give us, that satisfy those pieces of information.